General John Teichert is with us, U.S. Air Force retired. His last job was as the senior defense official in Iraq, studied the Iranians and how they operate. Obviously was at the end of a lot of incoming fire from the Iranian militias as well. The Ayatollah has made it clear that he and his friends are not going back to their mosque to just lick their wounds, that they view this as this lifelong battle. They've been embarrassed. Where do they go from here?
Leland, it's tough to imagine because there's only three primary ways that they had or could have to project power. Nuclear capability that it probably has been shredded. Their ballistic missile fleet that probably right now is about 25% of what it was 2 weeks ago. And then the finances to create the proxy network that has destabilized the Middle East. They don't have the finances or the funding. They don't have the missiles. They probably don't have the nuclear capability. And so it's really tough to imagine how is the Ayatollah going to project power when he doesn't have those assets anymore that he had maybe 2 weeks ago.
And this was the, I'm moving the map without moving it. If I don't touch anything, maybe it won't move. Okay, this was the map around October 7th, right? When you had Hamas, you had Islamic Jihad, you had Hezbollah in Lebanon, you had militias in Syria, you had Bashar Assad in Syria, you had the militias you faced in Iraq, you had the Houthis in Yemen, all armed to the teeth. They have basically all been eliminated or severely curtailed, and now you have just Iran on its own. Are they more likely to lash out in some other way, number one? But more importantly, how do you change this map to box Iran in? Is this now when the UAE and Qatar, maybe the Saudis, make peace with the Israelis to form, what, a coalition against Iran?
I think because Iran has been defanged, that they now are isolated from the consideration of the other countries in the region. That means that they don't pose a threat. That means that they're not something that is going to destabilize the other countries around them, which means now the Saudis or any of the other countries can start doing what is in their best interest without concern for what Iran would otherwise do to them.
Look, Benjamin Netanyahu, going back 15 years when I used to meet with him when I was in Israel as a correspondent, would make the point that the root of all evil and problems in the Middle East is not the Palestinian conflict, is not Israel, it is Iran. You pull them out and lots change. The Iranians have something to say about that. The last thing that they probably have is the ability to close the Strait of Hormuz, right? The 21 miles between the United Arab Emirates and Iran. That is the choke point for 25% of the oil in the world. They always love to put out their videos, right? This is videos of their fast attack boats and everything else. When are we going to know whether or not this part of the Iranian military was destroyed?
Leland, I don't know if they have been destroyed. They likely were on the target sets for Israel. But because this is so financially ruinous to the Iranian regime, and because China and others would back-channel to Iran that this is not in their best interest to do so, I find it highly unlikely that all of a sudden Iran is going to decide this is the right move.
So it pays to be a winner, right? And we saw even from President Trump's standpoint, 12 days ago, was very hands-off with the Israelis. All of a sudden it was working after their first strike in Iran, and then we had the bombing of Iran by the United States. What are you going to be watching for in terms of how America can exploit this in the Middle East, our success, the Israeli success?
Like you said, there's nothing that boosts credibility like stunning success. There's going to be some good opportunities for bandwagoning to find ways to link countries that otherwise would never be related to Israel because it's in their financial interest to do so, and they want to be associated with the winner. So I think there's a lot of opportunity on the upside for the next stage of Abraham Accords because of what Israel has done in the last 2 weeks.
Abraham Accords was the Trump 1.0 deals with peace treaties with Israel. Now we'll go back to the tactical. 2 hours and 15 minutes until, based on President Trump's tweet, that the ceasefire takes effect. Reports that the Israelis had wanted a couple more days. What are they doing in these 2 hours?
There are probably three major target sets that the Israelis are looking to destroy. Continue to strike the residual ballistic missile fleet, strike the IRGC, especially those high-value targets, to disrupt their command and control. And then the third one is potential leakers. Is there something else out there like uranium that got away that Israel knows about that they're willing to strike. I think if they focus on those three things in the next 2 hours and 15 minutes, then that's going to be a huge win for them to end this conflict.
I don't know if we have it in the control room, but there was audio obtained by the Washington Post of the Israelis calling Iranian generals individually on their phones and saying, "Hi, we've just killed this guy, and this guy above you. You're next. You have 12 hours. You can decide to leave or not." We don't have the audio. It's stunning. It's in War Notes. You should go listen to it. What does that do to the Iranian military? How can the Iranian military rebuild after this?
Well, I think there's two pieces to it. There is the way that they can project power. I don't think they have it. And then there's the way that they can maintain internal security. And I think that's going to be the interesting thing as this plays out over the course of the next days or weeks or months, is how effective is the IRGC at maintaining internal security, especially with the disruption of an economy that is in shambles and a lot of people that are so dissatisfied with the Ayatollah and the current regime.
General, you've done incredible work for us over the past couple of weeks. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. It's been great getting to know you.
I've enjoyed it, Leland. Thanks.
All right, thank you.